Eve, in a lot of ways, is like the songwriting process in that it's a circuitous journey and you spiral in from the outside. You pick up all sorts of bits of information from interesting people you meet. You grab little bits of data, sound samples, and then when you get to the center, you get to put it all together and play a version or your version of the song. I sort of pine for heart-to-heart communication.
Are you Adam or Eve?
You start off in Paradise, which features the work of this artist, Nil Sudo. It's a very beautiful place, and in it there is this mysterious hut. It's the place where the story really begins and ends.
There are many playful symbols and metaphors within Eve, and one recurring image is a suitcase, which was created by the artist Yayoi Kusama. Towards the beginning of Eve, you actually are confronted by this suitcase. And being curious, you probably open it. And if you do that, what you've actually done is you've started the game, but you've also scattered all the contents, all the elements that you're later going to find in Eve, all across the landscapes. You've actually got to go out and find all of these things. The more things you find, the more rewarding is your journey, and actually your reward when you finally get to the places, your destinations.
You get kicked out of this house, out of Paradise, into the mud, and then you have to work your way through the landscapes to return. Any relationship evolves, and it evolves through different stages, and we tried to make our landscape in some way some symbolic representation of the way a relationship evolves. One of the deliberate ambitions for Eve was to try and get an interesting interface between the art and the music.
The interface that we've created for the IMX is very different from anything else that people might have seen. It doesn't look like a sequencer, it doesn't look like a recording console.
I had to sort through every single tape, listen to everything which is on every single track, try and find little bits of performance that didn't get onto the record that we could then use for this, so people could really get a sense of what it's like when it comes to mixing one of these tracks. What Peter wanted for the musical toy was for the person playing it to be able to guide the music through all these styles at will. And so that helps the user in two ways. One, it gives them a real feeling of what it's like to create a piece of music. And secondly, it gives you a real insight into the kind of creative process that Peter goes through. In the musical toys, I thought of music as a two-dimensional thing, separated into background and foreground. In the background, you have instruments which accompany. In the foreground, you get lead instruments or vocals. You can arrange them by pressing buttons on the button screen. And playing over the top of the backing that you created.
We are shaking the tree. Shake it all around.
Or you can go into the animated musical video and all these little characters will pop up or fly past or come out of the ground or come down from the hills, and as they do that you just have to roll over them or click them exactly where you want it musically to happen, and there it'll happen.
Let your new life start. We are shaking the
One of the most exciting things that you can do within the interactive music experience is record the performance that you're creating as you create it, then edit it, work on it, extend it, work on it some more. And so people can really get into that and create something that they feel very proud of, that is their own.
Your eyes. No, I'm home again. I will hear your silent call.
When we looked at the 4 songs that Peter wanted to include in Eve, the main theme was relationships. That's what Peter was trying to kind of work out. That's what he was writing about.
In a sense, Come Talk to Me is about breakdown of relationship and frustration, barriers, problems. Shaking the Tree is about understanding the problems and doing something, about action, empowerment. And In Your Eyes is about some sort of acceptance of what the situation is, who you are, and therefore some resolution.
Well, let's look at expanding this relationship to the song and the environment. And let's look at asking sort of experts, people like scientists and psychiatrists and zoologists, who relate to the themes within the song, but in a kind of a looser way, in a sort of wider context.
I think the biggest unanswered question in biology is, why bother with men? I'm absolutely certain that Adam died probably tens of thousands of years later than Eve. So they certainly never met.
Dr. Christopher Davis. I'm a lecturer in social anthropology. In Africa, individuality and individual judgment are highly prized. As a consequence, obsessive love, whereby one person is completely focused on another, is regarded as abnormal and perhaps a sign of mental illness.